Oh my Lord, I love that. It was like we were riffing here. I was like,
you know it.
I was just dancing over here, having a good time. I was watching my head, my bald spot dance around a little bit. I've been using your cameras to check my bald spot, and I'm like,
you want to check it? Like I can do a bald.
Oh, you got a bald spot cam?
Yeah, I do.
You got a bald spot cam?
Look, hold on.
Wait, oh my Lord, this is great technology. Like you can literally. Oh my Lord, I don't like this now. This is so good. Like this is how you got to get like what is those balding male balding commercials. This is like, and we're gonna go to the balding cam. Make sure you buy this because we can see it looks like
great
like little butt. It's great commercialization, and this is the 21st century. You got to commercialize. Oh my Lord!
It turned around.
It turned around. Oh my God,
dude! Look at the shame in that camera.
It didn't want to look at me.
The other direction.
It didn't want to look at me. It was like, Jesse, you don't need this right now. You do not need this. Your self-confidence is dwindling. Stop it. There's not enough Lexapro in the world.
Think about how the balding men now are like really they're just coming to your corner.
Yes. But here's the thing. I have no problem with balding. That's not my issue. My issue is my head is misshapen. Like, see, you got a good head. It's smooth. It's round. It's got a little shine on you. But like right here, like it's flat. It's
really,
legit.
You got a flat head.
Like, hold on. Let me show you right this.
Oh, crap.
Like
yeah,
that.
You're right.
It's flat right there. I think it's my wife. My wife messes with me. She's like, "Oh, your parents didn't want to hold you. They left you on the ground as a baby." So now it's stuck in my head. I'm like, "Oh, every time I'm like, oh, they didn't love me enough."
Justin, should we make an introduction?
We should.
Who is talking here? So why don't you introduce yourself and let people know who Jesse is?
I'm Jesse Pimpinella. I'm a Youngstown born and bred comedian. I'm right now living out in Columbus, Ohio. Comment the IOs. I miss being here. That's why I have a show tonight and tomorrow at the Funny Farm, 8:00 each night, man. And I want to see everyone down there. I want to see alumni from all the high schools. I want to see YSU alums. I want to see everybody. It's going to be a good time. Because you're not getting a comedian who's visiting Youngstown. You're getting a comedian who's coming back to Youngstown. And I want to have some Youngstown talk tonight. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
So what's the Youngstown comedy scene like? Is it pretty good for young comedians who are just getting started?
It is. It's been a while since I've been here, but it's how I got started. I got a couple of opportunities, open mics and such as that. We had something called the Youngstown Comedy Syndicate, which was a group of fantastic comedians. One of my favorite, Fro, who will probably be at the show tonight. And they put on so many opportunities. They gave me an opportunity when I was young and starting out. And then Dave saw me at one of those shows, and Dave Robich, the head of the Funny Farm Comedy Club, gave me my opportunity, and there you go. But I think I love the Youngstown scene because, man, if the joke works here, it's going to work everywhere.
For
because
sure.
Youngstown is like, they're not, I'm not saying like we're a skeptical bunch, but we're like, all right, let's see how funny you are. I mean, like,
yes.
let's see what you got.
Yes.
And I think that just comes from the blue collar, hardworking people in the city that are just like, hey, look, if we're coming in here, we're investing in you, you got to reinvest back in us. And I think that's fair when it comes to any live performance, because, that's why I show up early. I do so much show prep, because when people go to shows nowadays, let me break it down. People don't have to go out to go to shows. They can get Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus. They can go to a sports event. They can go to escape rooms. There are so many options. The options of what you can do at your Friday and Saturdays are saturated. So when people say, hey, I want to go see you at a comedy club, that means they're paying for dinner, they're paying for parking, probably paying for a babysitter. You know what I mean? It's late. They just got done working. So you got to deliver. You got to bring it on. And, and if you don't do that, then that hurts the symbiotic relationship of live performance right there.
Yeah, we used to do date night outs for the longest time, and we'd bring in comedians, we'd be musicians, we'd do magicians, whatever. And number one was freaking comedians, because everybody loves a lampooning. They really do.
It's fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what we live for.
And the thing is, I lampoon myself a lot. So I know some people, when they sit in the front row, they're like, oh God, I don't want. No. Relax. I might get you a little bit, but honestly, the splash zone is on me. I'm going to make fun of myself.
You're flathead.
I have a flathead. I've gained a lot of weight. I'm looking at the camera right now, and I'm like, you got it on funhouse mode. And I don't like this. All right, right now, because like, look, I'm getting humbled. I'm getting humbled every day in my 30s. The other night, I tried my wife's bra on as a joke. Joe. Turns out I'm a comfortable 30 AD. That's what I am. All right.
Absolutely. You're a humble guy.
I squeezed them together. I got to have a speeding ticket this morning. That was cool. All right.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
The cop motorboated me. He went, now stay out of Poland. I'm like, all right. It was a Poland cop let me out. And you know they like you if they let you out. You know, you always got that pickup truck that always gets you.
That never works for me. It really doesn't. Like I don't have any attributes that are.
It's all there.
You got it.
And instead of an OnlyFans, it's a cannoli fans. All right. It's Italian style, baby. Woo! Here we go.
All right. So who's lineup for the show tonight?
We got a stacked lineup tonight. Okay. Starting out the show is our MC, national touring headliner, Johnny Lee Dam. That was the guy who gave me my opportunity. He was the one who sent the elevator down for me, and I opened up for him many years on the road. So he's going to be MCing. The guy is a heavy hitter. All right. This is a guy you need to see. Then you got two other comics who I'm big fans of. You got Daniel P. Myers and then Harrison Poole. Harrison Poole being the person who directed my comedy special, Spooky and Hot Mess, all filmed right here in Youngstown. All here. Because if I told myself, I'm going to film something, it's going to be in Youngstown. All right. I'm going to go back to the roots. That's what I'm going to do. And like I said, one day when I'm crazy enough to do a third special, because it's a lot of work, I'm going to be back here in Youngstown doing it.
Nice. Dave does a great job. He puts all kinds of different comedians on that stage.
Oh my God. Yes.
And we were famous for having national acts as well as people just getting their start and everything in between. And he has a good, has a good barometer for talent.
Very much. I mean, here's the thing that Dave is a rare breed. He's a rare breed of club owners. I was just talking with BJ about that. But the thing about it is like, he runs a club where it's not about the act that shows up. It's the fact that if any act shows up to that club, it's a good act. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to sit and wait, like, okay, when the good ones win the bad ones. No, if they're at the Funny Farm, they're going to give you a show every single time, no matter what. And I think that is what I miss so much with a lot of comedy clubs, because a lot of comedy clubs, not all of them, but some, they rely totally and heavily on, can this person pack seats versus, is this person actually talented? Yes. And I've seen bars do that. I've seen, and it hurts the business because they can pack seats, they can do it all that, but then they're not. Like I talked to, it was a TikTok star, and I was like, how long have you been doing comedy? He's like, 6 days. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And then after the show, people are like, he's great, but I think I'm just gonna stick to watch him on the phone. And now some people's image of what stand-up comedy has been distorted now. Right. And now the home run hitters, you're not going to see them because you think that's the height. And that's not. And don't get me wrong. There are fantastic comedians that are online right now that were comedians long before these apps came about. Long before. Like there's one comedian who I'm an absolute fan of, inspiration. His name is Jason Banks. Been doing stand-up comedy forever. And then TikTok came around. He blew up on TikTok. And man, when you go see his live show, it is an event, nothing short of it. It is worth every single time you go out. And that's, again, that symbiotic relationship between audience and comic. You want to give them the show. You want to make it an event. You want to make it the reason why I pay a babysitter. I buy all this food, the drinks. Exactly. And I can't speak it. I highly praise him. If you haven't heard of him, check out Jason Banks. He's great. But before you do that, check me out tonight. Just check me out.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So now as far as comedy goes, like I started watching comedy back in the Hayward Banks and
oh my God, yes.
Those legacy comics, right? And then you had the Matt Rifes of today.
Yes.
Like who do you think is doing the sort of like the evolution of comedy the most right?
You know what? And that's an interesting question. I don't think there is a right or wrong way, honestly. I know that sounds kind of like a cop-out excuse, and it kind of is. But the thing is that comedy is something that is living and breathing, and it adapts to the situation. That's why people can say, oh, that joke was too soon, or this joke was too early. Like that's why you'll see some comedy movies they bomb when they first come out, and then they're called classics 20 years later.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
It's all about timing. So I don't think it's about doing it right. It's doing it for the right now or the right later. Like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, like a Burt Kreischer at a point would never have worked, but right now he sells out every venue that he has.
Yeah, he sounds different. He does something different than the next comic, and that's good. Because a lot of times with comedians, the worst fear is that, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. I mean, this guy's going to take my spot, and that's not true, because that person is taking their spot. They're not trying to be you. You got to be you. You got to find your spot. You got to carve out what makes you so authentically you that people gravitate to that.
Yeah.
And I think it's that authenticity, like for example, Larry David, when he got famous, he didn't take anything away. Larry David's Larry David.
100%.
No, there's no other Larry David. And Larry David, he didn't take any spot. That's him. That's who he is unapologetically, just him. And I think that's where a comic's voice comes in. I think when a comic discovers his voice and then he expresses it correctly on stage and makes people laugh and all this stuff, I think that's when you get that gravitation, you get the fame, the popularity, you get all this stuff. And then then doing that would be the quote unquote right way of doing it once you figure all those out.
So now, like, did you see South Park, by the way?
Oh my Lord. Yes.
Like Trey Parker, Matt Stone, they are comedic geniuses.
They are some of the greatest satirists of our time right now.
Sure.
What they are doing it's literally historic, because I mean, never have you had an animated show that, number one, makes shows the week of that stays as relevant as they are.
Yeah, there's a reference in the same week that they produced that animation.
Yeah.
Like, it blows my mind.
And have you ever seen their documentary 6 Days to Air? It's a brilliant documentary. It shows the 6 days leading up to each episode. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's nothing short of a nightmare what they go through. Like, it is like the whole documentary. They're like making the episode, they're having a good time, and then in the middle of it, they're like, this could be the worst episode. This is the nail in the coffin.
And I love that.
Like Trey Parker's just walking down the hallway with that 1,000-yard stare. And then the episode they were working on was the Human Centipede episode, which is a beloved episode. I
still think about it today.
Yes, but it's like, that's how crazy comedy is, that you could be crafting what will be one of the greatest jokes, and in the moment, because you are in the middle of it, you'd be like, oh my God, oh no, this is
as a comedian, how courageous are you to take some like bleeding edge type of things and take that risk to be able to say something that might land in a different direction?
I think we have to. George Carlin said it's about finding the line and deliberately crossing it. And I think what happens is sometimes, I think sometimes comedians sometimes try to become more than comedians. And I think that's where I'm like, you got to stop there.
Right.
You got to stop there. So far I've made fun of my man boobs, my bald spot, and I'm wearing a Jay and Silent Bob shirt. That is my qualification. Okay. If I talk about politics, if I talk about this, if I talk about that, take it with the hugest grain of salt, because I am not trying to change politics. I'm not trying to, you can take risks. You can talk about, because like, here's the thing. What happens in the world, like, as they talk about, it affects everybody. And it's their take, it's their thing. They're not trying to change anybody's minds. It's like, it's South Park. Their goal is to give a finger 360 degrees. That's what they're going to do.
Right.
And they've stayed true to that. And that's because they're authentic. As I mentioned before, they stayed authentic. That's their brand. If you get mad at South Park, okay. I mean, nowadays, you ever hear people like, you can't even believe what they do in South Park? I'm like, yeah, it's South Park. That's what
they got 27 seasons of pissing you off. Like, this is nothing new.
That's what they do. They make fun of it. But like I said, I think what happens is sometimes I think comics will take what I think is sometimes the cliche approach to making fun of something. And I think that's when you'll get backlash, because, sometimes you're just like, well, everybody's saying that. Yeah, I mean, you're not really bringing anything new to the table. You're kind of cashing in on something rather than coming up with a point of view that cuts deep into what you're talking about. And there's times where I think I have that, I can do that. And there's times I don't think I can do that. And that's just looking at the, like it's a football play. I can't go this way. I can't, so I don't do it. You know what I mean? And if I can go that way eventually, I will. But bottom line is I've seen so many people, they'll have politicians on their shows and stuff like that. And I think that's when it makes the water a little bit murky, because at the end of the day, comedians, we're supposed to have, we're kind of like, again, we're just clowns. We're just having fun. We're not trying to change anything. But I think when people start playing in that pond and then they step back and go, well, I'm just a comedian, I think that's kind of a cop out, because it's like, no, you were playing in there. You were playing in there. Your hands are red. Own up to it. And then step back. You know what I mean? But I'm not, like I said, freedom of speech, have an opinion. It's great to have an opinion. What you do with your opinion, there's always going to be consequences to it. And I think that's where comedy is fun, because it's about saying something and then getting away with it with a laughter.
Yeah. You get a certain license with comedy and satire that nobody else gets away with. Yeah. Right. And so I've seen comedians that are like very pure and won't push on that line, and they're not notable. Like they don't say anything that you'll remember them for. No, but you take someone who like really rubbed on you, and I remember you.
Yeah, that's it. Like what South Park did this week, they rode the line. They rode the line because it was their reality. Their parent company is Paramount and all that stuff. And they had to comment on it. And it was because that deal was making their lives a nightmare, because they couldn't premiere their episodes on time and all that stuff. So they're going to talk about it. Yes, they're going to have an opinion.
Trump has a micropenis. Like that's
and it's no spoilers. Sorry, spoilers. No spoilers. Hey, no spoiling. But yeah, it's like, look, that's their brand of comedy. That's what they're gonna do, and they do such a good job at staying very non-biased to what they're doing. Because notice that they never have any celebrities on their show. They never
not anymore, at least.
Not anymore, at least. Earlier, the first season they had maybe George Clooney showed up as a dog who barked. That's it. But now it's so. Bottom line is just, like I said, comedians take big swings, be ready to fall, be ready to be wrong. And I think that's the problem, is we live in a society where I think people are too afraid to be wrong anymore. Guys, I am wrong all the time. I'm married. I had to learn how to be wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Anytime, here's how I win fights. You know how I win fights?
Ready.
I take my wife's side every single time.
Good plan.
I do. Okay. Like, honey, you think you hate me, but I hate me more, and I am on your side, and I love you. There's gonna be times where I go on stage, I'll say a joke, and I think, oh, this is rock and roll, and it gets no laugh. When I'm at an open mic, and I just own it. I don't get mad at the audience. I don't scream at the audience, like, you guys don't know what comedy is, blah, blah, blah. No, I wasn't funny in that moment. Like, I know some people say comedy is subjective, and it is. Sometimes I think there is a prism where it's a little bit objective, and here's what I mean by that. If you're in a room and you say a joke and it goes over beautifully, objectively in that moment, that joke worked. And then tomorrow you do that same joke and it sucks, it objectively sucked.
So when you get an audience, let's just say you get a bunch of retired Rotarians.
Yeah.
And you know what you were going to bring to the stage.
Yes, I do.
Not going to freaking land that day.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You work enough rooms, you know how to adapt.
Okay.
And you got to learn how to adapt. There are times where I talk about Tinder on stage, right? But if I have people that remember the T model, I got to back that up a little bit. You know what I mean? So what I'll do is I'll have a joke where I go, well, your grandkids are doing Tinder. And they're like, what's Tinder? What's my grandkid doing? What's my grandkid doing? And then it's like, is it a disease? And it's like, no. You're an emperor that swipes. You're like, yes to this woman, no to this concubine. Yes to this woman, no to this.
Beautiful.
And they get it. They're hooked up. They know what it is. Because and again, that comes with, okay, I need to bridge the gap. How do I bridge the gap? Someone once told me you could sell a joke twice. Okay, you could sell a joke for an audience that knows the joke, and then there's times where you can sell the joke for people who aren't familiar with this. Be creative. Every detail is a setup to what you're doing. So take that moment where you describe it. It's kind of scary. Why is it scary? It's very complicated. Why is it complicated? And then build upon that. You know what I mean? And how will they understand it? You know what I mean? And when you do that and you put in that extra work, as I said, put in that extra effort, there comes the authenticity. your viewpoints and relating with the audience, and the audience resonates with them. But like I said, if you get frustrated and you go, well, they don't get it, whatever, blah, 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 then you're not going to, again, it's that symbiotic relationship. You gave up on them. Now they're going to give up on you. That's just the way it works.
Right.
But you work with them and you give them 100%, they'll give 100% right back to you.
So I do public speaking.
Yes.
And a majority of that is like reminiscing about how you ate shit on stage and you were terrible, right?
Yeah.
And I can't believe an audience tolerated me to allow me to be on stage again, right? And so I'm sure in comedy, like you have its own version of that, right?
I remember I've bombed. I have PTSD bombing.
Yes. Same here, brother.
I remember 2 times where I've bombed. I remember first time I bombed. I bombed many times. I bombed many when I was younger. What I'm saying is, I remember 2 times where like I become like the old woman from Titanic, but it was a long time ago.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I'm holding on to the jewel.
Then.
I'm holding on to I'm holding on to the show program from years ago. I bombed at this show. I got showed up by a juggler.
Oh no.
I wasn't that good when I was starting out. I was 2 years in, and I ate it so badly. And then the juggler went next, and he was like, who would have thought I'd be funnier than the comedian? And everybody looked over to my seat, couldn't find me. Then they looked the other way, and I was at the buffet eating. I'm like, oh no! Because I was emotional eating. It was sports. The one time I bombed, the other time I bombed, I was in Michigan, right? And the Midwest is one of the most hospitable people out there. They will give you full support, even if they're not on board. I mean, like, no one booed, nothing. I was 2 years in, and I was just eating it the entire show, right? But I had to stay on stage for 30 minutes or else I didn't get paid, right? And you heard forks like clinging the dish, and you heard people
checking their phones, what's happening on Twitter?
Yeah, they don't even have the on volume. You hear them. You're like, oh wow. So then finally the show comes to an end, and I'm just broken as a human being. I'm like, I just even know. And this woman in the front row literally stands up, looks to the audience, and goes, "He did his best."
Oh, those are the worst.
And I'm like,
the freaking worst.
Boo me, please, just boo me right now, please. Oh my lord. Oh my god. I was just like, yeah, but you need those moments. You need those moments to become a good comic, because it's not about doing perfect all the time. It's about failing. You need to fail. Failing is your mistress. Going to open mics and failing, so that when you go to the big shows, when you go to the club, that's where you score high. It's basically like baseball. You don't count the batting average when they're at the cage. They're working it out. They're figuring it out.
Heck yeah.
It's at the big show. It's at the game. That's when we start keeping count. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all matters. So, comedians, when you're in an open mic, man, take the swings, figure it out, do what Matt and Trey did. You know what I mean? Like, those guys do it on the biggest stage possible, because they're airing the episode probably hours after they finish it. Yeah, I mean, which blows my mind. Because for me, I'm like, when I did my special, I was like, all right, I'm gonna work the material, pound it out. Okay, now after a year, now I'm gonna look to film it.
So how many years of crafting did it take for you to get to go on stage and knowing that you've got a presentable product?
The first special I did, it took 10 years. The reason why it took 10 years was because I was new. I was learning to be a comedian. They say when you hit your 10-year mark, that's when you're really striving. The amount of years you've been into it, it's like your actual age. So when I was a 10-year-old and I could speak articulate, that's when I did a special.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, I did my second one. Yeah, I mean, and then because you got really good at it, you don't have to wait another 10 years. You're like, I got this. I understand this. I know who my voice is. I know how I want to write. I know what I want to talk about. And time frame between specials doesn't mean anything, really. It just because you look at it like this. There's comics that will wait 5 years. There's comics that will wait 10 years. There's comics that will come out of nowhere with a random special after 20 years. It's when inspiration hits you. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to force it.
What's most impressive is like in year number 2, when you're honing on that craft and you got on stage and it was only like 20% of what you really could do. Going to the bar next door and hearing those people giving you those like patronizing high fives, right? Like, keep it up, buddy.
Keep it up, buddy.
And you kept on, man.
God,
you kept on for another 8 years of eating shit to get to where you are today.
They're like, here's what you put this in your little skit. Put this in your little skit. It's gonna work. It's gonna work.
The soccer mom giving you advice on comedy.
Yeah,
that's the part.
That's the funny thing about comedy. That's the funny thing about comedy right there is that okay, you can't accidentally do a guitar solo. You can't accidentally juggle. But you can accidentally be funny. And that kind of sometimes gives a license to people being like, here's the secret to comedy right here. Here's the secret. Yeah, I mean, you don't accidentally do heart surgery and then someone goes, holy hell, I got a patient in here. You know what I mean? But you could say a funny joke and then you're like, is this what it feels like? It's like the quickening in Highlander. There could only be one. You know what I mean? So that sometimes I think what happens is people are funny, they're living for fun, and they get that license, and then they give you the advice. And here, some people actually will give great advice. Yeah. I've seen good advice given, but you gotta be careful because sometimes they could be quoting another comedian that you don't know, and then all of a sudden you do that line, and it's like, you stole something.
You needed to tell dad jokes. That's really where the comedy scene is at.
That's where it is.
100%.
I love that. I love dad jokes. I love dad jokes. Dad jokes are great, man. Dad jokes are, people forget, it's just good deadpan humor. Just good, like, can you keep your face as straight as possible? And because I watch those little viral shows where it'll be two people that are just staring at each other and they have water in their mouth. Mm-hmm. And then the other person will tell the joke and they're trying not to spit the water out. Right. It's just so asinine and so dumb. Right. And you love that.
Think about like, most of Mitch Hedberg's deadpan would never work for anybody else, but you had to carry it in a certain way.
His authenticity was off the charts. It's who he was, and that's why it worked, because that's the comic's voice. You know, that's why, like, you know, you'll see sometimes like, oh, this joke was stolen. The reason why they know it's stolen because it sounds familiar. It doesn't match your tone. It doesn't match this. Like when everybody has a Seinfeld impression. What's the deal? What's the deal? Yeah, you're like that cadence. Like if somebody started doing like, so what's the deal with this? You're like, you start hearing the bass. You start hearing the bass. Right? Like where's the bass coming from? But you start to hear it, and that's where that disingenuousness comes in, and people will lose you because they're like, all right, well, you're just doing that. And there are comedians who've kind of fallen from grace because they were caught with another comic's joke. And don't get me wrong, there are times where there is parallel thinking. I've seen that happen before, and the comic that owns up to it is the comic that will usually stick around. You know what I mean? And I think that is huge. But the ones that will die hard, hold the line, those are the ones that go away. Because look, you know, at some point there will be jokes where people will make the same joke, and I've seen it before. Like I remember, what was it? Stormy Daniel gets a gag order from Trump. Okay, that happened years ago and every late night show host accidentally did the same joke. And I know they didn't look at each other's homework, but if you look at that gag order, Stormy Daniels, you already put the joke together in your head. 100%. I put the joke together in my head. We all think we're first to the finish line, but we're not. We all arrived at the exact same time saying the same joke. But does that mean we stole? No. But that's where it comes in, where you have to work harder. You have to go, okay, this is my first instinct, but is there something deeper? Is there something more clever? Is there something that I could turn on its ear and make people remember it? Because then everybody's doing that same joke, but then they hear your joke and it's like, whoa,
1 degree different.
That sounded very different, and everybody pays attention to you. That's all it takes. Sound different. Be who you are. Be authentic. We're living in a world now where it's like AI is happening. Okay, everything feels fake. Everything doesn't feel real anymore, and all that stuff. So when you are just unapologetically authentic, and you have no means to hurt anybody, it's just to have a good time, you're going to gravitate. That's the simple rule.
Do you think AI will ever learn to be funny?
You know, I think it'll be like stevia. Right. You ever try a stevia pack? You're like, this is sweet, but it tastes like crap.
Not exactly.
It's like, it tastes like crap. I don't like this. I mean, like you can tell it, you can taste it in the coffee. I think that's what it will be. Because at the end of the day, you can't replicate perfectly the human struggle, the human spirit, the human embarrassment, these human moments that occur, and you'll come close to it with AI. I think you'll come closer, but I don't think when everybody's been in a situation where they watch something and they go, that's you right there, or that's me, and that's because you hit a beat that relates everybody together. And when you hit those beats, that's how comedy brings everybody together.
So your personal influences from comedians, like who would you say your top 5 is for people who have like really crafted you?
Robin Williams, absolutely love him. I think it's fantastic. The energy he had, the versatility that he had, the improv, everything was beautiful. And it taught you how to be animated, move around and stuff like that. A lot of times people like to stay close to the mic like that, which is fine, works for some people. But then some people you see and they look nervous. And it's like, relax, move around a little bit. So Robin Williams' physicality, everything was great about him.
I've heard some stories about how unwilling he was to stay to any kind of script whatsoever. And he was improv all the time.
That's one of the, if I remember correctly, that's one of the reasons why how they film sitcoms changed. They had to do more multiple camera situations, especially on Mork and Mindy, because they didn't know if he was going to improv. So they had to make sure they had coverage
to catch it, right?
To catch it. So yeah, it changed. Another person, Christopher Titus, it's a deep cut for some people know him. Great comedian. He taught you how to take life pain and make it hilarious. Not like when he talks about life pain, it's not like a sad story and that's it's ha 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 the whole way through, and it's funny. He takes he knows how to take that dark humor and make it funny, but also not put you in a dark place where you're sad afterwards. Yeah, I mean, there's an escape. There's an ascension out of it, and I think no one does dark humor the way he does. Hell, a lot of people say a lot of his, when he talks about society, some people have said that he's like the next Carlin in that manner, which if you haven't listened to Titus, go listen to him. He's great. He had one of the funniest sitcoms on TV, and it got canceled because he explains in a special that he mouthed off to the execs, and that'll do it.
Supposed to do.
Yeah. Him, Mike Birbiglia for his storytelling style, John Leguizamo again for his storytelling style. I love stories. I think stories are just like, and I don't mean to sound like sentimental about it, but it's a passage into somebody's soul to figure out, how they got to where they are and who we are. Because who we are is just an amount of choices that we made that led us to this very moment. And I think when you get that backstory, you understand a person so much better, because we've all been in that situation where, with our parents, like we argue with dad, we argue with mom, but then we don't know where they're coming from. But then we hear the story when they were young and they went through it and we understand it better. And I think that it creates a commonality.
Yeah, one of the names, Norm Macdonald.
My Lord!
Storytelling, like you felt like you were hearing a story from a drunk uncle who was high on meth, and it always came to fruition. Right? He had a way about him.
He's a legend. He's a legend. Like I always say, there are my influences, and then there are people I love. And the reason why he's not influenced is because there's no way I could do what the hell he does. There's just no way. That's like me. That's like me saying Evel Knievel's my influence. There's no way in hell I'm jumping the Snake Canyon. But man, I'm a fan of his.
Yeah,
because like he brings joke level to a level that is unbelievable. Because he was a guy who was not afraid to bomb. He was not afraid to do anything. Like he was so like I remember someone told me a story about like if he kills on stage, he will go back after the show. He goes backstage and he stays there. But if he dies and does bad, he will shake everybody's hand on the way out.
That's my man right there.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. But he was a legend. He was, when it came to joke writing, came to timing. No one understood timing like him. And it's so funny when you find out like why he got fired from SNL is because I guess some people at that channel were friends with OJ and they didn't appreciate all the OJ jokes. And I remember I was looking like, I wonder how many OJ jokes he made. Dude, there's half-hour compilation. That's a near special.
Yes. If he knew you didn't want to hear something, it would be a special.
Oh my Lord. Like he was so good, but also very honorable. He was such an honorable man. Like apparently like this was found out after his death. Jim Downey, who it was hilarious comedy writer from SNL and everything. Everybody knows Jim Downey, but they don't know him. You remember in Billy Madison where they're doing the game show at the end, that little thing, and it's the guy who's the host?
Yes.
That's Jim Downey.
We are all stupider.
Yeah, we're all stupider because of you. One of my favorite lines from any movie. And apparently he used to do that to people in writers' rooms to mess with them.
Nice.
Like he was just like, that was the most idiotic thing. But But like he revealed that like Norm originally wasn't, from my understanding, guys, fact check me, this was on Conan's podcast with him. It was originally he was on the chopping block for SNL, not Norm. And Norm said, well, if Downey goes, I go too. And it's just like, that is incredible. You have one of the biggest mics every week on late night, which is SNL. You're the news anchor, and you stood by your friend. And it's like that integrity, and he didn't know about it until after the death. And Jim Downey was expressing like how much that was just amazing. And it's like, that's when you become a legendary talent. You become a hero. You become like a role model to how you're supposed to be with people, and
if I taught like the mechanics of comedy, they would absolutely say, don't be a Norm Macdonald, right? Because it's a risk. Like when you go off of the mechanics of comedy, that's a huge thing.
He is doing it. What Norm Macdonald did was because Norm Macdonald was that's it.
His personality.
That was his personality. He understood it so well that was it. And that's why, and a lot of times I think when people start comedy for the first time, like in the first 2 years, they're mimicking something. And that, not mimicking because they're doing anything wrong, but because they saw something, they're like, I love that comedy. That's the style of comedy I want to do. And you watch that person and you develop around them. And then when you start finding your own voice, that's when you break away from it. And I've seen a lot of people that were dry deadpan that did Norm, and boy, that was the hardest pathway to go.
Right.
Because what made Norm so good, it was how disarming he was, how charming he was, how like he was good at the whole, what we were talking about earlier, the getting away with it, like he could say the horrible thing where most comics would bomb, but he could say it and get away with it. And we're laughing because we know Norm doesn't mean any harm. We know he's not trying to be mean or bully or hurt someone. He's just saying a joke for the sake of it being a joke. And if it gets laughed, great. If it doesn't, he'll own it.
But it would take him 5 minutes to set up the joke. So it's almost like we are invested in it. So it's almost like we can't hold him accountable because it was so much effort.
He was so good at drawing you in and making you interested. Like he told, oh my God, I'm trying to think of some of the jokes, like some of the jokes. Oh my God. What was the one I'm trying to think of? Because what he used to do on his podcast, I absolutely loved, is that they would have note cards with the most offensive jokes possible. And they were like, we don't know where these note cards came from. They're like, every time.
Freaking writer? Like, what the hell?
No, they would go as far to say, like, we found him on a bench out in the park. We just found him and they thought they were interesting.
My fault.
Yeah, my fault. And they'll read it. It'll be like, oh, man, that was offensive. Whoever wrote that's going to hell. And it's like, what they're doing, it, like, and it's like so brilliant, like some of the jokes they would do. And like, but again, like I said, he was one of those people that helped redefine what stand-up could be. And I think that's happening a lot in comedy nowadays. Yeah, I mean, before people were like, okay, comedy's in a suit. Comedy's, you got to look nice. You got to have the bow tie. You got to look sharp. Hair's combed. And then you see people of the counterculture, Carlin, Lenny Bruce, Priors, who were, they didn't do that. They were the opposite of that. And they broke away from the Take My Wife Please to talking about their heart attacks, talking about dark things in society and stuff like that. And then comedy became very observational. Then comedy became very storytelling. It's generational. Again, like it's the time that you live in. What is it, like what is because at the end of the day, we reflect back what society is, whether it's what's going on in society or what's going on for us as people, as family units, dynamics, all that stuff. We're just reflecting back. Like, for example, you've seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
Even people who aren't Greek will watch that movie and go, that's my family. That's my family right there. That's what we do.
Identifying.
And that's the style. It's when you get so authentic, everybody feels like they're you. And that's what makes you're not copying. You're just being so authentic that people identify with you. And again, it makes for good comedy, brings people together, and they just want to have a good time.
All right. Psychological analysis.
Okay,
Adam
go
Sandler.
for it.
All right. So in the head of Adam Sandler, he knows things are funny. He's been proven that he's a genius in a certain deal.
Yes.
But you can have such end products like Happy Gilmore versus Little Nicky.
Yes.
And you're like, what the F? How is it that this came out of the same brain.
I will tell you, see, movies are different. Movies are different. Now, you're talking to the wrong person here because I unabashedly love all of his movies. I will admit it. I will. People will be like, really? Even Jack and Jill? I'm like, yeah, I bought a ticket to see Jack and Jill. Okay, I will admit it right now. Ticket to Jack and Jill. I bought it. All right. Anyways, so, but it's like, but movies are different, man. Because like a movie it's everybody's vision coming together and trying to figure out how, because you got the director who wants to bring her style in, you got the writer who wants to bring his style in, you got the actors that want to bring their style, the producers want to bring their style, then you got the studios who have their notes and what they think the movie should be. And sometimes you shake that up, it becomes a hit. And then other times when you shake that up, it's very disjointed. That's why there are such things as director's cuts, producer cuts, and all this stuff, because everybody had a different version of what the movie to be. I'll give you a really fucked up example. I could say I curse.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
We're on the internet. Yeah. So
you can say fucked up.
It's fine. I made 42 minutes without saying fuck. I'm so impressed right now. I'm so impressed. Thank you. Anyways, the sixth Michael Myers movie with Paul Rudd, which, by the way, Paul Rudd playing Michael Myers is just one of the best things ever. And but like the producer's cut, they try to explain like this is what was cut out of the theatrical version. Apparently, Michael Myers has sex because of Michael Myers has sex. Like there's a scene where he's thrusting, which is the weirdest thing ever. Yeah,
I've never seen that.
A knife, yes. A dick? I don't want to see that.
Limits.
Off limits. And apparently it was a bit incestuous from what it was, because it was with the niece and all that stuff. And it was from a cult of thorns that can rise up, and there's a baby. It's a whole messy thing. But you watch that movie and you're like, oh. You're like,
so a slasher film, that's what does it in for you. Right?
Yeah, like that's what I'm sorry, watching Michael Myers pump is just not what you want to see. And he already kind of moans on the listen, you don't want to see slashers having sex. You don't want to. You don't want to see kill, mama. And I'm like, wait, what? Jason's here. You don't want that. There's just some things you got to keep aligned. There's some boundaries. You know what I mean? But when it comes to movies, man, it's a different breed, a different ingredient. With Adam Sandler, as going back to the thing, because I could take tangents like a mother, man.
Go. Free will, baby.
He's another person who he loves his fart jokes. He loves the fart jokes. He loves that juvenile comedy. It's what he's been doing for years. He ain't going to change it. That's what he likes. And it's one of those things where it's like you're either on the boat or you're off the boat on certain things. And that's just the way comedy is. And again, it's taking responsibility for it. It's like, hey, look, I'm going to do this. This is my voice. This is what my expectation is. I'm going to do it. If you like, great. If you don't, oh well. And the thing is, like, not everything you're going to do in life is great. Not every project that you do is going to kill. Not every set you do on stage is going to kill. Not every single one of them. Babe Ruth struck out. Okay. He struck out but we don't remember the strikeouts. We remember when he points up to it and we hear that crack coming off.
Right.
When we watch those videos, that's what we remember. That's what the legacy is. So, like I said, take as many shots as you can. You fail, you fail. You succeed, you succeed. The audience digs it, they dig it. If they don't dig it now, maybe they'll dig it later. I mean, a lot of things go, fail in theaters, and then they go to streaming, and then they're making money like crazy. I mean, and then all of a sudden they make a sequel to it, like Hocus Pocus. All right. Beloved movie everybody loves for Halloween, right? Bombed in theaters.
Did it really?
Failed miserably.
I had no idea.
All right. It's a Wonderful Life. Bombed, failed miserably in theaters. Okay. Now it's this beloved classic. The Thing by John Carpenter. Bombed, failed miserably.
Until it found its audience.
Well, that year it was also because it came out with another alien movie called E.T. So, I mean, like, everybody's like, do we want a friendly alien or do we want one that massacres everybody? and it was the time and place. But now it's like, if you told me, hey, you want to watch E.T. or The Thing? I'm going to be like, The Thing, put that thing on. Let's do. So time and place. It's all about time and place and figuring out. And I think Adam Sandler has I think he's kind of hitting his golden age. He just won the Mark Twain Award. I went to see him live. fantastic. Great seeing them live. Special was great. And again, some people may not find that to be their style. That's fine. That's the beauty of comedy. It's a buffet. Everybody's welcome. Find what you like, take a seat, laugh.
Yeah, as a comedian though, like traversing sort of like cultural preferences, and like let's just say that the Richard Pryors of the world were completely suitable for all audiences at the time. And then we get a little bit more conservative at a certain point. So it's like comedians have to be like, well, wait a minute. I've got some sets that are Pryor-like. They're a little offending.
Well, and they're cyclical. Everything's cyclical. We go through cycles with this stuff. I mean, and so like, for example, think about when Pryor's, Carlin, and all them came about. It was during the 50s where you couldn't even show a toilet flushing on TV. The first couple to ever be seen on TV in bed was Fred and Wilma Flintstone. And that was even then risque. So you had this very tight thing wound up. So when you had this explosion of counterculture like SNL, Pryor's, all stuff, it was crazy. It was insane. People dug it. They wanted it. And then things get too wild. And then sometimes society starts bottlenecking back in, like, all right, let's rein it in a little bit. And the 90s was kind of that. We kind of reined it back in. I mean, look at the 80s, all the wild comedies we got.
Heck yeah.
And then the 90s,
even like sitcoms, like even Roseanne and things that kind of pushed on that status quo. Absolutely.
I mean, look at most amazing comedies in the 80s are R. And then most of the amazing comedies in the 90s are PG-13. And then they went back to hard R in the early 2000s. It goes in a cycle. And I think it's studying and knowing the times, and knowing the moments. And here's the thing: you can be rated R off the wall and say the most craziest shit and get away with it. You can. There are comedians that do that because they put in the effort, they put in the time to do the joke. Like South Park, they have unwillingly, they've never bent to anything. They are what they are. They do what they are, but it's also because they take a lot of thought in what they're doing. So, they're not just simply making fun of something. They'll make fun of it, but then find a way to make fun of the opposition. And then they'll find a way to find a third party that views it and make fun of them. And because they did that extra work, they can get away with more stuff.
So do you craft your set list depending on what that cultural shifts are?
Yes. Like, for example, if I'm going into an audience that's on the younger side, 20 and stuff like that, I'm not going to talk about having kids. They don't want to hear about that shit. They're
not going to connect.
They don't want that. They're right now, they're sowing their seeds. You know what I mean? Like they're literally, like I said, they're trying not to get pregnant. They're trying to park their car in a no parking zone, hope to not get ticketed, if you know what I mean. Like they're trying. So when I started my kids, they don't want to talk about being tied down. What they want to talk about is youth. They want to talk about, so I'll talk about my dating past before I met my wife. I have tons of material, and I have relationship humor, how I work with my wife. And I don't have to, when I'm on stage and I talk about my wife, I'll say my girl. You know what I mean? She is my girl. You know what I mean? And I don't say we're married. I mean, I could say it if I want to, but but everybody then relates, because then they're like, okay, he's in a relationship, he's a committed thing. And then they relate that way. When I'm in an older audience, I talk about, marriage. I talk about having kids. Talk about, like what's advice you guys can give me with kids. And then I also have a CPAP. I sleep with a CPAP, and I tell people I sleep with a CPAP. Older audiences lose their mind. They love that because now I'm on their level. Now I'm trying to meet them at a certain place. And again, some people might say, well, isn't that kind of like pandering? No, I use a CPAP. That's honestly what I do. I have something that can relate to them. I'm going to do it. I'm not saying that I have a CPAP so that I can be like, oh, this is great. I can do this joke now. Like, you think I want to have a CPAP? Like, let me tell you something. When you put a CPAP on and your wife's right there, I don't care how spicy the afternoon has been. Sex ain't happening. All right. The mood is over.
That's a mood killer.
Yeah.
Why do you wear CPAP?
Because I'm fat and my nose is like messed up. Like, look at this nose. I had to get surgery to fit so I could breathe because my septum was like collapsing in on itself.
Okay.
The doctor was like, look, we're going to do our best, but it's like Akron road work. We're always going to be working at it. Ain't going to be ever great.
So it's not like one deviated septum surgery.
No. They were like, we're going to fix it to the best of our ability and give you this mask.
You're going to wear a hood over your face for the rest of your life.
Every night I'm in the movie Top Gun. I'm like, no ghost, no. Like every night. And I'm like, and I almost killed myself on my CPAP machine. Because what happens is I learned how to roll over. Now, you can't roll over freely when you're wearing a CPAP machine, okay? You have a hose that goes to your mouth, all right? So what I learned how to do was I will roll around in one spot. So like I won't roll over to this side of it. Won't roll. I will literally roll stationary. But that means the hose is now going around my neck. And so more like,
Good news and bad news. The CPAP saved your life, but you got strangled during the sleep.
If 1,000 Ways to Die was still on the air, I would make that show. All right, you died from a breathing apparatus. You strangled yourself with a breathing apparatus. I'm like, I'm that close. So I mean, so it's like, so you have these things to relate, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna relate. This is how I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And
but you're saying that if you didn't need a CPAP machine, you wouldn't go get one for the sake of having good comedy, right?
No.
I want to have a good joke about getting snipped at the nuts. Should I do it? Yes or no?
But I will say that sometimes, as my drunken friends have said right before they did something stupid, let's do it for the story.
You're willing, though.
I'm willing.
You might not have done it, but you're willing.
So sometimes I'm like, you know what? Let's do it for the story. And I'll tell you a situation where I did it for the story. All right.
Okay.
So it was a late night. I have my one comic friend, thick guy, like just, jack to the nines. Me, not so much. And it's 12:30 at night. We're in downtown Columbus, and he goes, "Hey, do you want to go to this place called Food Hall?" And I'm like, "Brother, that's what I've been telling you. You've been trying to make me go to the gym with you. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go." Turns out there's this place called Food Hall where it is actual food hall during the day, but at night they shut it down and it turns into a nightclub. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm like, why am I coming with you? I'm like, I don't want. I'm married. I'm old now. I just want to go home and sleep. He's like, just come in there for a drink with me. Just come in for a drink with me. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, well, I never been in a nightclub before, so I said, let's do it for the story. It was awful. I had a horrible time. I just don't like it. I'm an old soul in that manner. But what happened was I felt bad for this one person. So I'm leaving. I'm done. I just want to get out of there. Okay. There was this girl, right? And you could tell, and I'm making this story up to really give it some context. All right. This not the story. The story's real, but who this girl is, I got to make it up because it's what I think happened. Okay. It's what I believe happened. So I'm leaving the nightclub, and here's what I believe happened. There was this girl, probably a med student at OSU, stressed out, tired. She just wants to have a good fucking time. She's got the pumps on. She's got the dress. She's looking great, but no one's asked her to dance yet. And I assume no one's asked her to dance yet because for some reason she started sauntering over to me, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, you must have given up on life. And I'm trying to like shimmy to the door, but then she like started blocking me like a bouncer, and then she turned around, right, and she tried to back it up.
Oh no!
And what I did was I moved out of the way. And she went down.
Dude, you missed your opening.
I was married. And you know what? She didn't consent. All right. My body, all right. My body, my choice. All right. I didn't say she was me tooing me, my friend.
That's true.
I saw it, and everybody, she fell. Everybody's looking like, and I'm just thinking, like, I ruined her weekend. Even my wife was like, you ruined her weekend. And I'm like, I know. And I just left and sauntered out.
Just think of your confidence level that happened after that moment, though.
But think of her confidence. Yeah, her confidence.
Who cares? Like, you'll never run into her again.
She's probably thinking like, dump truck just dodged me. She's like taking more Lexapro, like, oh my God. Like fat bearded Harry Potter denied me. Like, this isn't good. This isn't good.
So speaking of wives, all right, I got a semi-conservative wife, and I say things that are kind of controversial publicly. Yep. And regularly she says, like, I can't believe you said that shit in front of other people. So you have to have a lot of those moments.
Yes. My wife, who calls me Pimpy, she's like, Pimpy. I'm like, what? Like, I always say something offensive, and I won't even know when I say it. Like, I have this like weird, I'm in public, right? Sometimes you can't shut off the comedy brain. And just like Ron Williams, like if there's a joke, boom, say it. And I'll have that moment where I'll say it. And I'm like, oh, nope, don't do that. Don't do it. My wife has had conversation with me. She's like, all right, we're going to go. My parents are here. You're going to meet my uncle and aunt. Whatever you do, don't tell them you got high last night, because I know you want to tell them. like I do. I do want to tell them I got high last night. Because what happened was I got high for the first time when I was 30, and I never got high before. And 30's been my fun age. I hated my 20s, 30s, the fun time. Anyways, I got cake. I got high on gummies and I couldn't cut a cake and I started crying. And my wife's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine." And then I took the cake and started rolling them into meatballs. And just start eating them, and I'm just crying in the kitchen because I got way too high because I don't know how to count. But anyway,
missed opportunity. We have gummies back there, and if I'd have known that we should have started this interview with gummies, and this might have been way better than it is right now.
Oh my God, no, it wouldn't. I would be gone. I would be gone. I can't. So I went to a festival one time, and my friend got me high, Matt Onesti, one of my favorite comedians, and we started out in the same room together. He produced my special as well, but he got me high one time, and then he kept changing locations on me. And he thought I was like, he couldn't figure out what I was doing. Like when you're high, sometimes you're high, you're like, how you act is high, but your brain is still sober. The problem is the connection to what you're doing and who you are it's not there. So I would keep going like this. "Oh my God, I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you." And he couldn't figure out why I was doing that. And the reason why I was doing that was because in my sober brain, I know he's going to fuck with me. Because he would just sit there and be like, "So
how you feeling?"
Yeah, how you feeling? Just do that. Be like, he would say stuff even like, "Man, it's kind of weird. We all have the same tattoos." Like, what? Start checking your body. Like he knew how to do it. And then like we were at a live event, and this woman who was very, very on the older side, she had purple hair and she was a rock band singer, but she looked like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove. And so I kept going up to him like, "Pull the lever, Crunk. Run the lever." And I'm just like, he's like, "You need to shut the fuck up. You're screaming it during the breaks."
That was good advice. She might have backed her dump truck up to you.
Yeah. Boom! Dude,
you ruined your moment.
I ruined so many moments, man. I'm a moment ruiner. That's why my wife, I've known her since high school, man. So she knows. So as you were talking about, yeah, she knows I say offensive stuff. I did it since high school.
Just to kind of feed the stereotype, is her profession something that's very conservative? It's either going to be librarian, teacher, some kind of like where you can't even.
You're in the ballpark. But here's the thing: she could be wild. She could be wild. Here's the thing: she reins me in, but she could be wild too.
All right, tell me, what is she?
Oh well, she is a what is it? She's a rehab coordinator for like helping people get their jobs and all this stuff. It's a long title. She's a caseworker and all that stuff. She does what she does, she literally does the Lord's work. She really helps people. And then I just tell dick jokes.
Yeah. So if you tell a dick joke, it can make her life increasingly harder, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then she will get wild. She'll cut the rug and get wild. She was also an entertainer. She used to be an actress a long time ago, and she's a phenomenal actress. I'm trying to always get her to do projects with me and stuff like that, but she's like, no, and I'm just like,
not you, like somebody else comes along. It's you.
She's like having no career is better than having a career with you. I haven't sunk in that low yet. Like, Jesse, here's the thing. No career, porn, you. Right? OnlyFans is up here. Feet stuff is right there. You. I don't want to do that.
Oh, too funny. All right. Let's summarize. What are you doing this weekend? Give us all the details.
All right. I'm going to be at the Funny Farm Comedy Club, all right, in Niles, Ohio. We got 2 shows, one Friday, one Saturday, both 8 o'clock. We got an incredible lineup of comedians. Harrison Poole, Daniel P. Myers, Johnny Lee Dam, and myself. I'm headlining. And here's the thing. You're not getting a comic that's coming to Youngstown. You're getting a comic that's coming back to Youngstown. Yeah. Who wants to have fun with the Youngstown people and knows how to do it. I'm talking about YSU. I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about growing up here, man. And I'm excited. I'm excited I get to do this here. So I love to see you guys come on out. Make sure you buy the tickets. Go to the Funny Farm Comedy Club's website. Reserve those tickets now. Let us know you're coming. Food's great. Drinks are great. You're going to have a good time because, like I said, I know it's an investment. I know that you guys got a lot going on. So if you invest in me, I'm investing right back in you. Promise.
Jesse, are you Pimpinella or are you Impinella? I need
Pimpinella,
to know.
Pimpinella.
You are Pimpinella.
Facebook is like, we need to see your ID. And I'm like, no way you gotta see my ID. They're like, you gotta prove your name. And I'm like, no, I'm not proving my name.
He's Pimpinella.
I'm Pimpinella.
That is a great name.
Thank you.
Go see Jesse Pimpinella this weekend. support Dave Robich down at the Funny Farm Comedy Club. We'll see you there.
See you there. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Thank you for your support.